Happy New
Happy
Year!
New Year. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your host. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Megan. We're a podcast about coffee and work, but make it queer.
Yes, yes, yes. And Happy New Year. We are officially in 2025.
Uh.
I feel so old.
Yeah, I really didn't. Just,
Like so old.
it's setting in. They said that a new generation has started on the
Yeah.
first generation beta.
Yeah, because this last one was Generation Alpha,
Right.
I think, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've been through the Zoomers, we've been through the Alpha, and now it is Gen Beta, which has made me feel very old because I feel like now we're the
Wait,
boomers compared
I
to
know.
so we'll be the boomers for the betas.
And really, really, we're just millennials.
Yeah, it's
We're
really
just millennials, y'all.
it's
But
not.
I feel like I get accused of being a boomer a lot. And I'm like, I'm not.
No,
But
you're
okay,
not.
because I guess I need to research this more onto the names. I guess Zoomers, is that Gen
Oh,
Z?
yeah, Z. I've heard it once, and I heard it because there was like some talk around comments. You can correct me, but they said that Zoomers kind of have a more boomer type personality. They're a bit more conservative in some areas of thought, like in their choices and decision making. They're also a little bit more. They're not as like active in the community as like millennials
Hmm.
once tried to be or are trying to be. But I have heard that Gen Z is like a little bit more sheltered and they're, how would you say, more introverted compared to millennials who are like always like, we gotta fix the world. So
Hmm.
that's just, I think that's what I've heard in the past, and that's what's stuck in my head.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to
Anyone,
do more research into this.
yeah, do some research because I could be wrong.
I do
But
know. I mean, I do know. I have heard, and I could be inaccurate on this because now we're just talking about it, so it's just popping into my brain. I don't have it open or anything, but I do think after the election, I did see that the conservative side did actually get more of the Gen Z
mm-hmm,
population than people maybe anticipated or
right.
expected. So maybe that also kind of correlates with what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
and that they do maybe have a more conservative mindset
They do.
around certain things.
Yeah, I've just seen that millennials more like as far as their values when it comes to
Hmm.
work and community service is like millennials are more likely to be out in the community, do volunteer work, or try to donate and things like that, or like just try to be active in the community. Whereas Gen Zers, they really haven't. Well, they're still very young, mind you, but they aren't now that they're entering the workforce. They're a lot more conservative and they're not doing those types of things as often.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard Zoomers, but
I call them
I
Zoomers.
actually, when you first said it, I was like, well, maybe she's like relating it to the fact that like they had to do like digital era type
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Oh, that could be
So
it
like
too.
connecting it to Zoom,
No, it was definitely when
um,
I heard that term, they were trying to compare them to
to
boomers.
boomers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So they called them Zoomers.
Whether you're a Zoomer or a boomer, you are welcome here.
Yeah, we're not judging. Maybe
We were
the betas, but they're just babies at this point. So
they're little beta fishes.
they're little beta fishes.
Betas.
Yeah.
Betas. But yes, more and more generations are popping up with all new experiences. How interesting. So, how was your, I guess, New Year? Did
It
you
was really
guys
good.
party? Partied up?
Um, yeah, we had a little thing at the house, celebrated with a close friend and her son, and it was good. It was good. We played board games all day, and I had a bottle of wine that I don't typically drink, and I regretted that decision. But besides that, it was a great entry into 2025.
Yeah, awesome. We went to a friend's New Year's Eve little gathering. Probably been a while since we like had done something. Usually we just stay in and
Hmm.
don't actually stay up until midnight. But this time we braved it. And, we just kind of had snacks and we went back and forth on some of the different countdown shows. We played some games. We also did, and I had never done this before. But I know a lot of people, I've been seeing people post about it. So I think a lot of people do this. We made vision boards.
Ooh.
Um, but we, instead of like, cutting out pictures and stuff, we turned it into like they had turned it into like a vision bingo board, and they put 25 squares. And so we each had to come up with like 25 like visions that we were manifesting in the new year. And then the idea is that you keep track of it. And, as you accomplish one of those things, you check it off. And if you get a bingo, you have these little like rewards that you give yourself.
That's
Um,
cool.
and so it was interesting. I'm not going to lie, I really struggled.
Yeah.
It was hard coming up with 25.
That's a
Um,
lot.
it
In
was a
1 year?
lot.
Or are we
Yeah, it
talking
was a
25 years?
lot. It was a lot. But then I also found that like for mine, I was coming up with like really grown up like aspirations, like finish renovating our house, declutter my crap, um, grow my income, pay off
Hmm.
a big bill. And other people were like sprinkling in like more fun like things like have a spa day.
That's how I can tell we are the same because it's like half of it was work and the other half is like, I just need to clean my house.
Yeah, I need to clean my house and keep up with it.
Yeah.
So I think that was also part of the struggle, was that I was struggling to like sprinkle in like some of the stuff that I would like to do, but it isn't a priority, because a priority for me is like making sure I can afford to live
Yeah,
and take care of my
exactly.
family.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm just
Um
trying to survive out here, and you want me to create a new habit?
yeah,
Yeah, we'll see about
and like I was like,
that.
I don't want to put something on the list and just give myself more work to do. Like
Exactly.
that sounds awful.
Yeah.
So, but it was interesting and it was new for me. And I did feel like I liked it more than like making a New Year's resolution.
Hmm.
Um because I've always just found New Year's resolutions, they last like a week
They're
and
tacky.
then you're back to where you were.
Hmm.
And this felt, I guess because I'm a big fan of like making goals and checking things off of that list or whatever. So I felt like it aligned a little bit more to goal setting and things like that. So,
Yeah. Now I'm jealous. I'm like,
yeah.
I feel like I need like a full 7 days to get my life together.
I mean,
That's
it's still early in the
it
year. You
is.
could still sit down and make a little vision board for yourself.
Yeah, that would be a
I
good
do
idea.
know a lot of people that do it, they do kind of like a collage like vision board, and they just kind of more put images of things that they hope to accomplish in the new year. So I've seen it a variety of ways, but it was my first time ever doing one for New Year's, and so that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a really fun. That would be like a fun, like, if you have like a friends night and you want to do something
Hmm.
like a little different, and you want to help people feel like they're getting stuff done. That would be fun.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
yeah. And then I also learned a lot about some of the sort of New Year's, I guess, like old wives' tales.
I heard one
And
too.
some of them I had heard of before, and then others I was like, I swear y'all are just making this up.
Yeah, I heard one that I had never heard this before. But if you eat 12 grapes and wear red underwear on New Year's Eve, you'll find the love of your life. And I was like,
Oh my
oh,
gosh,
what?
yes. That one, yes. So that one was one that came up because we were texting with our friend about like the different foods, right? And so they were like, "Well, I have this and I have grapes." And I was like, "Grapes? That's not like no, it's black-eyed peas, cabbage. What are you talking about? Grapes?" And so that was my first time hearing the grape one as well.
Yeah.
Also learned about one where apparently if you like at midnight, if you run around, like run up and down carrying or like wheeling a suitcase or carrying a suitcase around, it's supposed to help you like manifest travel, like good travel.
I need the one that has a suitcase full of money so that I can travel around the world. That'd be great.
So yeah, so we learned some New Year's traditions, I guess, but it was
Hmm.
just honestly, I was exhausted,
Me
like
too.
learning about it all. Then like New Year's Day, I swear every time I got up to do something, my wife would say, "No, you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that on New Year's." And I was like, "What am I allowed to do?"
Right, right.
Like, um,
Well, there's so many. It's like it's at that point. It's like, well, if you send this email to 10 people,
oh my God.
you'll win $1,000 or
That's what
something.
it honestly, that's what it felt like. Were those chain emails that we used to get. And it was
Hmm.
like, if you don't pass this on, five
You'll
of your
lose all your friends.
friends will be bullied. Did we just date ourselves?
I think so. It's
You know
fine.
you're a millennial when.
When you talk about email chains
Yeah,
for good luck.
for good luck. Yeah. Um but yeah, so New Year's Day we just sat on the couch really. We did do a little bit of shopping, like clearance shopping, which I don't know. Someone I'm sure is going to tell me that wasn't allowed, but we did it. But then after that I was like, we're just sitting on the couch and not doing anything because I don't know what we're supposed to do or allowed to do. But we were like, we don't want to jinx anything. We want all the good luck, all the fortune, all of the things to come our way.
That would be nice at some point.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of queer, Megan,
Hmm.
because we are a podcast where we talk about lots
Things
of different
queer.
things and
Right,
queer.
right. And work.
Some sort of kudos and congratulations are in order for a Dallas individual.
Hmm. Hmm.
Representative Julie Johnson has officially been sworn in to the new session of Congress.
Hooray!
Yay! Insert applause. Yay!
Yeah, I think she represented in the Texas state,
Mhm.
but she was a representative in North Dallas, like Carrollton
Mhm.
area, I believe, into
Yeah.
McKinney. Now she's District 115 in the House of
Mhm.
Representatives. She did it.
Yay!
And she's the
Congratulations.
first, I believe you told me earlier, the
Mhm.
first open LGBTQ representative in the House. Is that what you were saying?
From the
From the
South.
South. From the
Yeah, so she's
South.
the first openly LGBTQ plus woman elected into Congress from the South. We've seen it
Ooh.
in other states that are maybe up north,
Right.
but this is the first time we've had someone in from the South. Um,
That's awesome.
mhm.
Good for
She
her.
also she also was sworn in with two other sort of first queer. We had Sarah
Hmm.
McBride, who is from I think Vermont,
Hmm.
who's the first openly trans woman
Right.
elected into Congress. We also had Emily Randall from Washington, who was also elected. She was the first out queer Latina in
Oh.
Congress. So, yay for Latinas, yay for queer Latinas, and yay for representation in Congress.
Exactly.
And then yeah, Sarah McBride, there's been some talk already about things that have come up because she was elected in Congress, right? We are now seeing Congress make some stances on bathroom policies. But I really one thing that I think really I was really sort of I guess proud is I don't know if proud's the right word, but I appreciated the way that Sarah McBride made her statement about it. And
Hmm.
she was kind of like, I'm going to abide by whatever the rules are for Congress because I am not here to fight about bathrooms. I am
Right.
here to be a representative to the people of my state and in
Hmm.
my district. And that's what it should be.
Hmm.
And so I really commend her for saying like, whatever,
I'm
I
just
don't
gonna do
care.
my job.
I'm gonna do my job because that's
Right.
why people elected me. They didn't elect me to fight about bathrooms.
Right. Right.
And so
For sure.
I really respected her response about that. I thought
Hmm. And she just put
it
it
was
away, and she was like, "Okay, can we move on?"
right, and I think it was a really powerful way to try to squash it, even though other
Yeah.
people are still talking about it.
Yeah, of course. And I'm sure it's something that she's had to deal with throughout
Right.
her career in the
Hmm.
public, So, which is, but I
Mm-hmm.
think just to close the book and just say, hey, look, I'm here to do my job and I'm going to do it the best I can for those who
Mm-hmm.
put me here. So let's move on,
Yeah.
you know?
So, speaking of workplaces and people experiencing a variety of harassment, workplace crap,
Mhm.
because honestly, that's what this bill in Congress originated from, right? It
Right.
was someone who wanted to start something, and so they were like, we need because I don't want to go to the bathroom with this particular coworker. It's
Right.
workplace drama, is what it is.
Hmm.
It's workplace toxicity. It's someone trying to hold power over another person. And there's another sort of interesting thing that's happening.
Right.
It's not necessarily in queer news, but I don't know, Megan, I cannot, when it comes to me and celebrity stuff, I just cannot.
You can't help yourself.
I'm addicted to it. There, I said it. I can't help myself. And even when I tell myself, I'm going to stop, I definitely click on the other article to read it. And I have been sucked into this Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni drama. So Blake Lively filed a complaint. That's how it's worded. She
Hmm.
filed a complaint alleging that Justin Baldoni, her co-star and director for It Ends With Us, had been like inappropriate and sexually harassed her and
Wow.
basically created kind of hostility in the workplace. And then sort of in her complaint, or sort of what this is what she's saying. She alleges that he basically, to retaliate and to prevent her from speaking out, he orchestrated with his PR team a smear campaign that
Wow.
painted her in a bad light. So then that is sort of what people are ruminating on over the
Hmm.
break. And people are like, oh my gosh, no wonder things were so weird when they were doing PR for this movie. Like everyone knew there was something that was going on, but
Hmm.
they couldn't quite pinpoint it. But then he, like right before the new year, issued a lawsuit against against one of the mainstream things, basically saying they didn't do their due diligence in getting both sides of the story and they just took her story and ran with it. And he also they both have come with receipts, they both have
Hmm.
come with text messages. But and then she's now filed a lawsuit, and it's just a back and forth with each of them sort of filing different things,
Wow.
and it's a big he said she said. But
Nightmare.
it seems like it all stems from some workplace toxicity,
Right.
whether it was on his part or her part or a mutual part.
Well, was there an issue that she had reported it, but nothing ever really happened? Is
So
that something?
so in her complaint, her initial complaint, it does talk about how there were reports of HR complaints made by additional individuals that are like anonymous. No one knows who those people are. As well as she herself also filed allegedly HR complaints. And there was also in her complaint, there's mention of like they had some sort of like meeting with her and him and the producer of the film, as well as her husband, Ryan Reynolds,
Hmm. Hmm.
where they essentially were told, like, don't make these inappropriate statements. Don't talk about this because it is like it's creating like discomfort in the
You're right.
workplace. Like you're
Okay.
talking about inappropriate things that I don't want to be a part of.
Around. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a big back and forth of he said she said. It's one of like I don't think anyone knows what to believe
Yeah. What
because
really happened?
right. But what I am seeing, just my perspective, is she's being treated more harshly
Hmm.
in the media. She's having to go above and beyond to share her experience, whereas he isn't necessarily being held to the same standard
Right.
in
Right.
terms of proving what his side of the story is. And so I think it's interesting.
Right.
Mm. And initially when her report came out, I'm like, look, here's the thing. Has she said some things in interviews that were problematic? Yes. Does that mean that she should be sexually harassed in the workplace and not believed? No. Like both of those things can be true. She can say
Mm-hmm.
problematic things in the media and still also experience workplace harassment and
Right.
mistreatment in the workplace. So it's been an interesting thing, and I've been thinking about it like, oh, this is technically a workplace even though it's a
It
large
is. It
scale
is. Yeah.
thing.
I mean, and even then, I mean, there's like decades and decades upon of
Mhm.
abuse in the workplace in Hollywood on
Mhm.
sets, you know. So, you know, hopefully the truth will come to light, obviously.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean,
we'll just keep
obviously
getting sucked into it.
women and you know, marginalized communities are usually the ones that have to battle it out over
Mhm.
a long period of time to get it noticed or to
Mhm.
get something taken care of. I mean, there's been obvious sexual abuse and harassment
Mhm.
in like the Hollywood sphere for a long time, and they're just
Mhm.
now seeking justice for it.
Mm.
A lot of things that were done in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and before that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, I am curious to see how it'll come together. I mean, obviously, it's probably going to go to court and probably be settled, but
Yeah, it hasn't gone to court yet, but I think it's probably headed in that direction.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the outcome of this.
And she's such a big name too, you
Mhm.
know. So
Mhm.
for that to happen on set with her being like a main draw in to this film, and for there to
Mhm.
be harassment and you know things like that would be pretty dumb on his end. Like, how are you?
Right. Well, and this is the other thing that I have found interesting. So, in his suit and some of his text messages, so one of the things in her initial complaint is it was about her feeling uncomfortable because he would randomly kind of barge into her trailer while she was breastfeeding. Um, well, in his
Well, just not.
right, well, in his suit, he has presented text messages, a one like it's one thread of a one time, it looks like a one time conversation where she is basically telling him, "Hey, I'm free if you want to run lines. I'm just pumping." Kind of like
Mm,
saying, "This is all I'm doing if you want to come in to my trailer and do it now." So it's like, okay, so she maybe gave you permission one time,
right.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was an open invitation after that, if that happened, right?
Mm,
So at any point in time, it can shift from someone being okay with something to not being okay. And all she should have had to say was, "Hey, I'm not comfortable with us running lines while I am breastfeeding. Can we do it afterwards?"
mm-hmm,
In a more public spot.
mm-hmm. Yeah, or maybe you know, maybe this that one time, you know, obviously
We're
we're
projecting. We
projecting,
have
but
no idea. Neither one of
but
us
I
were
mean, you
there,
know,
and
obviously there's the
we are not
decision.
picking a side.
No, we're not, but I want to know. But you know, things happen, and you know, feelings may change, and like you may feel close to like this
Mhm.
person or this leadership or your coworker, but it doesn't always
Mhm.
mean that it's going to stay that way.
Right.
So, yeah,
I mean,
those.
and it I think it comes back to, and I think we've talked a little bit about this before, right? You can change consent at any point in time. Yeah, getting permission one time doesn't necessarily mean every time it will be
Mm-hmm,
okay.
mm-hmm,
So yeah, I think that's something I've been kind of sitting with, is like, okay, I can see how it could have been a miscommunication based on this. but we don't have all this one text message does not show us the full
Hmm.
picture.
Yeah,
I need
obviously.
more before I pick a side. But yeah, I don't have a side. I have just been ruminating. I think it's interesting.
Hmm.
Obviously, initially, yes, I was team Blake Lively with her report, with her complaint. I
Right,
think women should be believed, especially something this serious. Um, and I don't doubt that she experienced what she says she experienced.
right.
What I doubt is honestly what we talked about with our guest Kendria, miscommunication. I think there was
Mm.
some miscommunication, at least based on everything I've seen. And I think it just continues and it's growing
And
and
it
growing
grew. Yeah.
and it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Especially, well, you have to also think like to make an HR complaint and to start an investigation, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot, right? You're putting yourself through
Right.
X amount of trauma over and over again. You have to retell the story. You have to write it
Mm-hmm.
out, file it, and then, so it's like I'm sure, I mean, any person who is going through the trouble of actually taking the steps to make sure something's done about it, she's probably not the first person, you know?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and so, I think that's just something to take in consideration as well,
Mm-hmm.
She's
Yeah.
never been, one to be part of that spotlight, even though she's been a really popular actress for a long time. But she's never
Mm-hmm.
been one to, like, be part of news stories because of something that's happened on set either.
Right. And
So,
I think that that matters too.
yeah, just her personality,
I think
from what
what
we can tell.
yeah, I think what is obvious is that something happened on that set.
I want to know.
And we want to know the tea.
Yeah, give us the
The
information.
real tea. We don't want
And
the
this is for,
PR.
of course, this is for research purposes.
Yes, research purposes only,
For
but
work,
yeah, for work. And so that we can research how to prevent it from happening
obviously.
in all workplaces.
Yes.
But also what happened. Megan, I am about out of coffee. I don't know
Me
about you.
too.
I've been drinking some different kinds of coffees lately, so
Ooh.
probably too much. But I
Yeah,
am out.
I've been trying to
Um,
ease on the caffeine, but it's about to get really cold, so
that sounds
just
like blasphemy.
I always tell myself I'm going to do that, but I really don't. So,
I don't know how people do it.
either.
But that is our cue to wrap up when we are done with our coffee. But great chat today, great catch up, and again, happy new year to
Happy New
everyone.
Year.
And thank you for continuing to join us and listen in. On my vision board, I definitely said I want to continue growing our audience for the podcast.
Would love it.
So make sure that you are not only listening and subscribing, but you are also sharing with your friends and telling them about our awesome little coffee community that we have together.
I do want to say, send us an email. It's the new year. Let's talk about it. Let us know what your thoughts are. It's not a lonely coffee break at gmail.com.
Of course. And you can find us on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads, and Patreon. And we would love to see you on any of those platforms and chat with you. And again, thanks for a great episode. Thanks for joining us. And we will see you next time. Until then,
Cheers,
cheers,
queers.
queers.